few tips that you could share with folks to make sure that they're protecting themselves when they're making purchases, especially if they're using a debit card and they're going to go to a regular store and make a purchase? What are some things that you could recommend to make sure that they're protecting themselves?
Sure. Well, as far as online goes, the best advice I can give is reduce your online footprint as much as possible. Limit the amount of accounts you have out there, because you don't want to have, if you have one account and that's the only one that you're using, it's very easy to track if it's being used maliciously or not. Versus if you have 10 accounts out there, you might not log into one of them for a year or so. You'll have no idea whether or not it's being used inappropriately. Another thing you can do is try to consolidate your forms of payment, such as if you have a bunch of bank accounts or a debit card like you mentioned. I try to do all my purchases using one credit card. So, at least for my daily purchases, so you pretty much pay everything off with your credit card during the month, and then you pay off your credit card balance. And then the benefit of that is that it's a lot. If there's any fraud that happens to your credit card, it's a lot easier for the credit card companies to actually fix that as opposed to your debit card in your bank. It'll be a much tougher time for you to recover any funds that were lost through fraudulent activity.
Thank you. And I know that I've heard from my banker had advised us to, when you're making a purchase, to always use it as a credit card as opposed to using it as a debit card, because if the terminal that you're using got hacked, they're not going to have your PIN.
That's true. If you can reduce your use of a debit card altogether, that's what I would do. Only use it at actual ATM terminals. I personally don't use a debit card at all for any purchases.